Hello, everyone. Hi, Living Alone and Connected group, as well as the supporters, the support people living alone and connected. Today, we are privileged to be joined by Susan, Carol, and Catherine, and we will be talking about Wowzitude. And Wowzitude Memory Travels is very exciting. It's an interactive virtual travel where people join live. It's for people with dementia as well as caregivers. And it is interactive if you have questions, but you go all over the world. So, a really wonderful experience, and I'm going to hand it over to you all to introduce yourself and the group, and then we're going to hear and the Wastitude, and then we're going to hear more about it, and then at the end, some Q&A. So,
Fabulous. Thank you, Catherine. I'll take the first stab at it. I'll start and then I'll introduce you to my colleague, Carol Zernial, as well. Just a little background about myself, Susan Black. I'm the founder and CEO of Wowzitude and now Wowzitude Memory Travels, our newest brand extension. We started doing live stream travel just around the COVID time, about 6 years ago, with my own mom, who was, well, everybody was in lockdown for COVID. I come from the travel industry, many years, decades in travel. And so we decided to bring the world to people who couldn't get out. None of us could get out then. And we started Wowzitude live stream and interactive tours, starting with Dublin, and now we go to over 150 different cities, and we tell the stories of all these cities with over 100 guides. And it occurred to us working with WellMed Charitable Foundation and my colleague Carol, who will introduce herself. We'd been working with their centers for a number of years, that there was an underserved group that we really wanted to focus on. My own dad had dementia as well. And we wanted to have live stream tours, but really bring the world to where people with memory loss really is. So we've developed, with the training of WellMed Charitable Foundation, a brand new brand. We've been piloting it these past few months, and we're delighted to bring it to this group as well. And you'll hear more about that. But for now, I want to switch over to Carol, and she'll tell you about herself and the WellMed Charitable Foundation.
Thank you, Susan. Appreciate that. Well, this is a great opportunity to talk about Wilditude Memory Travels, the best thing since sliced bread. And I don't know if I can't think of anything I enjoy doing more. But the Wellman Charitable Foundation, we're celebrating our 20th anniversary, and we've been doing caregiver programs for since the very beginning. I'm employee number one. I'm a gerontologist, social gerontologist by training. I've been in the business for about 30 years, and I'm currently the co-chair of the Raise Family Caregiving Council, so helping to advise the Congress, the federal government, about policies for caregivers. A lot of it impacts persons with dementia and that whole community. And so we're so thrilled to talk to you about the memory travels. And what we've really done is tried to make it relevant to all of us, right? My mother had Alzheimer's as well. And so when we go to, Susan's got Liverpool, England behind her, if you see that, and where the Beatles came from. And so the Beatles, we all know the Beatles. So on one of our tours, we're going to walk where the Beatles walked. We're going to sing songs, a sing along with the Beatles. And we incorporate things that are relevant to us, things that I'm most likely to remember and celebrate the Beatles. Maybe, I'm a little bit younger. We might work in some disco music a little bit later on. But, we're not going to go too deep. It's not a history lesson. It's going to be wow moments. It's going to be tailored to all of us who want to relax, feel like we got away for just a little bit. And what I find most interesting for those of you who are listening is that when we're walking in these tours, it stores in my head like I was really there. Sometimes I forget I've really never been to Liverpool. My background is Tbilisi, Georgia. Never been there, but I have these vivid memories of walking down the streets. So it's very first person. But, I think that what Wowzitude has done to bring the world live, there's nothing more fun than to hear your name called out. Hey, it's Carol in San Antonio, and she wants to know, what is it those people are eating? And then for the tour guide to stop and go, oh, well, they're eating some traditional Georgian bread and it's got cheese in the middle of it. I mean, it's just fantastic. And so it's really you get away from it all without leaving. It's well paced. It's a little bit slower paced, so all of us can breathe and relax. So if you're a caregiver, you're not going to be stressed. If you're someone who used to love to travel, you're going to get to do that again. And so, we really have, I think, combined the best of both worlds. A
Yeah.
lot about our expertise in dementia and gerontology, and a lot about Susan's expertise in travel.
Yeah, and I mentioned we work with 150 guides, and we couldn't do it without WellMed Charitable Foundation because all the training and all the knowledge they have, they go through, believe it or not, 7 different modules of video training, and they see all the different pilots that we've done. So it really is geared to this community. As I said, we've been running Wowzitude. We've done thousands of live stream and interactive live questions and answers tours, I know, at scale. Just to tell you, at scale for Wowzitude, we usually have about 15,000 people on each of our twice weekly tours. I know, it's a lot. We go to 3 million. So it's a lot. And that's libraries and alumni groups and senior living communities and a whole range of different folks. And that's why we've developed now Wowzitude Memory Travels because it really less about all of the history lesson, as Carol said, more about the smells and the feels and the songs and the music and the remembrances. So it's really cool. And I do have slides that I'll show you now in just a minute. So we'll demonstrate it. And we're also going to show you a trip kit. And we're going to show you the trip kit with the Beatles because each one comes with a trip kit, and you'll have to stay around to see what that trip kit is. So let me share my screen for just a minute. Carol and I are going to be introducing you to Wowzitude Memory Travels with a few slides, and then we're also going to be seeing the trip kit that goes with each of them. And what we do here is we see the world from right where you are, and we mean that quite literally, where you are in terms of your memories, as well as where you are in the world, at home, with a caregiver, on your own. It really doesn't matter. It's really designed for both. Some of our live audience actually will watch it on their own. And when I say watch, it's also participating. We'll talk about the way you ask questions in just a minute because it is interactive. And some really want to travel with their caregivers. Some caregivers may want respite or see it later. By the way, we keep the recordings available for 30 days after. So if you can't see it live, no worries. You can see it afterwards. Your family can see it. You can have discussions about it. You can see it again and again. Many of our folks do, especially when we did the Beatles and all the songs that went with it. It's really great to go see it again and again. So we do make it available. And the problem that we set out to solve is that there's really 2 kinds of isolation. There is living alone, of course. Many are doing it from choice, but some are also, that's what it is. The families are far away. It's hard to get to. So we want to bring a community in. You're never watching this on your own. We have hundreds of people watching it together live. And so we're bringing it there. And then also caregivers who can't step away. There's so many there. Um, it's really respite as well. So you can either watch it because it's so entertaining at all levels and for all people. So it was really built for both in the same hours, it says. So what is Memory Travels? Well, it is a real guide. These people are live. They're all licensed guides. They're all in a different city, and we go all around the world. You're right there live. Just because there's dementia doesn't mean you can't participate in the world. And we are adamant about that. The world shouldn't close in. The world should open up. And that is really our mission behind it. And it's the first time this has been done. As I mentioned, we started during COVID, so we learned a lot about that. That's when all of us were in lockdown and all of us were, living alone. Um, but here's the good news. There's no setup. You don't have to travel. There's no TSA lines. Believe me, I love that. There's no hassle, there's no passports, and there's no memory test and no special equipment. If you have a screen, a computer, and Wi-Fi, you just click and you're there. And for an hour, you're with us. You're someplace else. You're with our guides. And it really is very human. And what does an hour look like? So I'm going to let Carol speak a little bit about what the hour together looks like when we're traveling around the world.
Great. Thank you, Susan. So we start out, we introduce our guide, and we have a wow moment. So we like to lead, picture the camera turning on and you're looking at the Eiffel Tower, or you're looking at the Leaning Tower of Pisa, or you're looking at just some, beautiful landscape. So we go through the city, and we try to keep it to about 3 to 4 places. So this is not a run through the city. We try to limit the camera so that you get a chance to really see the sights. We want to feel the cold stone on the buildings. We want to smell the warm bread. So we really appeal to the senses. And all along the way, as questions come in, we ask the guide the questions and we get those answers back. And I think that's really exciting when they come in from all over the country. We also integrate some photos and some video from a time period that makes sense for all of us, right? So it's going to be some either very iconic photographs. It might be we're in the same spot, but here's what it looked like 100 years ago. And then the videos are in places that maybe we can't get in, the inside of a beautiful church. We've done that many times where it's quiet, people are praying. We can't do a live tour right there, but we video it ahead of time. And so we'll get to see the stained glass windows. We'll get to see the church. We'll get to see them baking bread early in the morning at 5 a.m. So I think the video and the photographs actually make things come alive more, and it lets us really focus on where we are. We have an intermission halfway through. It's about a 5 minute intermission. So if the bread made you hungry or you need to run to the restroom, you can do that, come back. And in that intermission, we're doing a sing along, which is really fun. When we were in Tbilisi, Georgia, we had the lyrics in Georgian and English. A lot of times it's going to be a really famous song, Top of the World, The Carpenters. Really easy to sing along. But it's fun too. It's a lot of fun with that. And then, as I said, the sensory piece. We want to see color. We want smells. We saw beautiful roses today that were as big as my head, I think, when we were in Tbilisi. So it's all meant to be a shared experience. And they're different tours. It's tour one, tour two. One is an overview. One is a deep dive, where it might be a walk with the Beatles. It might be the dragon statues and looking at the dragons. And so we have a theme and we have a city, and it works really well.
And they're really, really indicative of the places. So when we did Amsterdam, we were there for the Tulip Festival and we saw all the beautiful tulips. So each place is unique, and we really develop the uniqueness of that place. And we do, and as Carol said, we have questions. Now you may ask, how can we have questions if we have all these people on? Well, we do have AI in the background that stack ranks them, so we're all good with that. And Carol has been leading our moderation. You see, she's live. So Carol has been leading it as a gerontologist. So for our Wowzitude memory travels, we have Carol, and we will be expanding to others as well, trained moderators. So they work with the guide. So they're able to steer the guide in areas and the questions that are asked as well. So as I mentioned, it's real people every step of the way. It's not a recording. We're really there with them. So in each of these places we're there. I mentioned we have 150 local guides. We contract with them. It's over 200 destinations, so you never know where we're going to be winding up. Well, we do. We let you know in advance, but it's always someplace wonderful in the world. Our next trips are going to be in London and Paris. We've already been to Berlin. We're going to go to the Vatican. We're going to be in New York City. We're going to be in all the wonderful places, but beautiful places as well. We're going to be in national parks, including Yellowstone National Park. These are all going to be live with guides who are trained by WellMed Charitable Foundation to give the type of experience that this community, our community really wants. So the questions get answered, all of that. It's really quite unique. First time that we've ever been able to do this. And where we've been so far, I mentioned some of the places, but we started in Dublin, which, by the way, was the very first Wowzitude tour that we did as well for my mom. That's how we started. We were there right before St. Patrick's Day. So can you imagine? So great memories there. People really, it was remarkable. And of course, we sang Molly Malone and, all the tunes that are so familiar as well. We looked at the cats of Miraflores. It was a whole cat park. Can you believe it? So that was really fun. We try to incorporate animals, food, other things whenever we can. Ljubljana, some of you may not have heard of it. I've been in travel. I never heard of it before, but it's like Disney. It's like castles. It's beautiful. And as Carol said, we were doing a dragon hunt there. And of course, we played Puff the Magic Dragon because that's the emblem of the city. Amsterdam and tulips, Berlin. So there's so many places we've already been, and we've gotten some great feedback from both those with dementia and caregivers as well. The main thing is the fact that we can get away and be part of this world. It's not a recording. It's not TV. I mean, it's only a recording if you see it afterwards, but it's not TV. It's not YouTube. It really is live with real people. It's fantastic. So I'll let Carol talk about how you can take part. And again, this is really, we are so grateful for having WellMed Charitable Foundation as the partner to do the training and the moderation and really understand this community.
Yeah, so if you're living alone and you've got some memory issues, it's not going to be a difficult process to just turn on your phone, turn on your computer, and click the link. And so you can really join from anywhere. For caregivers or care partners, it really is. It's a new kind of respite. We know that travel's expensive. It's expensive if you want to invite somebody into your home to help around the house. And sometimes we don't want to get away. We're not comfortable getting away. And so we really do try to make this for both sides. And we also at the Wilma Charitable Foundation offer other services. And so if for people who are interested, you can go to the WellmanCharitableFoundation.org website, Wowzitudes, and I know that Susan's going to put in the chat the link to sign up for the memory travels. But we also do have some support groups. We have a stress self-management program, and we also have webinars that folks may be interested in with some caregiving experts. And so, we know that your group, Catherine, does such a wonderful job, and you really made those connections. And we're happy to expand these resources at no cost to the folks that are part of your network as well.
So we want to chat with you. We want to hear what you have to say. We want to know where you want to travel. I mentioned before, if you're interested, here's my email. I'm Susan Black, so sblack@wowzitude.com. Really simple. That's how you just send an email and we'll send you all the information of how you can do it. So what are some of the things that you've heard?
Well, we have had a really positive response. I love the caregiver who said, I don't know who thought of this, but thanks for making it really happen. And so, yeah, it was Susan that thought of it. But that was fun. But we've also heard, we'd like the guides to slow down a little bit. And so, we talk to the guides and we say, hey, if I'm listening to them, and that's part of the beauty of having somebody moderate. And I can say, either there's noise in the background, or maybe if you talk just a little bit slower, I think we're going to understand a little bit better. Susan does a great job with the guides and working with it. They're all different nationalities, but the guides are easy to understand, I think, particularly for this particular tour group. And we've also heard that that they've been to some of these places like Dublin. There's a lot of gratitude out there, and we know that gratitude is one of the best stress releasers, is to be able to see something and remember something together. You've been to Dublin, you're seeing it again, and it's nice to be able to do that again. And so people are kind of rediscovering the joy of traveling with these travels.
Exactly. So I'm going to share what a trip kit looks like. And again, this is just an example of what we did, for example, with Wowzitude. Hopefully, we see the screen correct. Everybody can see my Liverpool. Great.
Yes.
So what everybody, every single one gets is we talk about what it is, and it's several pages. So everything comes with this downloadable. We talk about both tours, tour one and tour two. So it's a part one, part two, and as Carol said, there's an intermission in between to get a snack, go to the bathroom. You could also watch it later if you've had enough, so it's all good. We then talk about meeting the guide, so you'll do that. It talks about the sites that we're going to see, exactly where we're going. So you get that as well, and you can keep it and refer to it later as well. We have maps so everybody can see exactly where it is in the world that we're going to. So you can see where it is in terms of, in this case, the UK. We talk about the music moment. These are the songs that we're playing, and then we do a link to YouTube so you can hear it again. We even give breaks, suggestions so that you can really get in the mood with a snack break. You know, who doesn't love Walker's cheese and onion crisps? I know I do. But we really do that, and a lot of our people watch it with a cup of tea or whatever is the right type of thing for the destination to get in. And if you feel really ambitious, we've got some recipe recommendations, easy recipes that you can do for drinks and for food. And you can prepare a whole meal or do it in the evening as well. We've got our fun facts. We even have movie recommendations if you want a deeper dive, and that's again with every single one of the destinations. Clearly for the Beatles, it was a lot of fun and very easy. We've got discussion questions. So if you want to have a conversation with someone else watching it, one of your loved ones, a friend, anybody, we've got that. And again, when you're living alone with this, it's great to have these conversation starters. And with the fact that you can watch it again and again over 30 days, you can always just refresh your memory and take a look at it as well. Moments for relaxation, optional ones. For caregivers, we've got some instructions too for those there and how to do it. So we can do that, or anybody else that you want to share it with. How the tour works, and we do have closed captions and how people can ask questions. So we remind people how easy it is to get on to use it. It's built for simplicity. It's built for simplicity and for enjoyment and to enjoy the experience. And again, meeting the guide, etc. So these are all the things, and for each place that we go, we make these trip kits, these kits to make it better, more immersive, more fun, available for every destination, and ones that can be referred to again and again. So we have our live stream that's interspersed with questions. They're fun. The music part, it's really everything. You know, if I could figure out smell-o-vision and taste-o-vision, we'd do that too, but that's not happening just yet. We do the next best thing. But we know from Wowzitude and doing it for 6 years, and we have, as I mentioned, 15, sometimes 18,000 people on each tour, it really strikes a chord. Because even if you're not living with dementia, if you are at home, if you're alone, if you don't have the finances to go, if the mobility is not there, there's so many reasons that people can't get out. Quite frankly, standing in a TSA line nowadays is not fun and all the things that go with it. You're right there and you're seeing everything live and everything the way that you would want to see it, if you were going there in person. We just make it easier and we make it more accessible. So
And
that's the
it's
Wowzitude story.
Yeah, and I just want to say, Susan, that even when we have a lot of people on a tour, it's you and the tour guide. It's you and the people asking questions. So
Yes.
you don't ever feel intimidated. You don't feel like you're in a large group. It's always a surprise to find out how many people are actually on the tour with you. So, it's very personal. It's like that's your personal tour guide.
And I'm so glad Carol said that because we also train the guides when there is a question asked, that they address the person who asked the question. So it's a very personal kind of thing, which is a wonderful, way to connect. And really, that's what we talk about. It's all about connection. It's all about joy. It's all about living with dementia, and living means traveling. So it's all about these things that are so important to us, especially as the adult children of parents who live with dementia. Quite frankly, I wish this was around when my dad was around. That would, always first in mind is what would dad like. We did the same thing with my mom during COVID when she was around. She was helping with all of that, and I think Carol, you feel the same way with your experience.
Absolutely.
So, Catherine, do you have questions of us for this community and how we've done things and how inclusive we try to be?
Yes, thank you so much. This is very exciting. I want to join, but I don't think I would qualify. Yeah, first for you, Susan, this is incredible that 6 years in, over 15,000 people can join sometimes. I'm curious the evolution of that since it started in terms of was this sort of what you envisioned, such a huge following and the format. I'm just curious about how you were envisioning it and how it's maybe evolved. And also, how did you get so many people to join? So maybe two questions in
No,
one.
right? Well, I'll say something that most founders of, particularly of tech companies, generally would not say, but I'll say it here, which is, I didn't develop this because there was a market gap and oh, I found a thing. No, I developed it because mom was going a little cray-cray during COVID, and she's my mom. She was 96 at the time. And she did not have dementia, but she was obviously, like everybody, feeling a little, not little, a lot closed in, and didn't want TV, enough with TV. She wanted to see the world. She wanted to see the world. And 40 years, 4 decades in travel, the one thing I couldn't do, I couldn't show her the world. And what she said was, and even if it wasn't COVID, because of my mobility issues, she had post-polio syndrome, mobility, I can't see it where she once did. So now we're talking dementia, but then we were talking mobility. We still are. Okay. So I had been working with tour guides forever. And so I called up one of our guides in Dublin, Hazel, and she was in lockdown too. And so it really started as a way for me to connect with my mom. And we did it over Zoom. We still use Zoom, but now we use a lot of other technologies that can do it. And in answer to your question, which is how we grew so fast, so quickly, um, the travel touches everyone, and people love to go on these trips. They do, no matter where they are. The way we were able to grow it so quickly is that I did it through organizations. I didn't do it, I'm a marketer for a long time. So we're now with 700 senior living communities. We're in libraries. We have all 30 branches in San Antonio Library. We're working with alumni organizations that have 100, 200,000 alumni. We work with William and Mary and Virginia Tech and and Buffalo. I mean, so many. It's incredible. So our whole method was to work with organizations, which is why we also do a shout out to organizations if you're interested. This is a wonderful way for us to get this incredible live programming to as many people as we can. And of course, WellMed Charitable Foundation, they run 15 different senior centers, including a virtual center. And they work with hundreds of medical practices throughout it. They're the support for it. So we work with wonderful organizations. We work with museums. We work with the Museum of Jewish Heritage, for example, and we do Jewish Heritage tours for their membership. And now we are working with very large online travel agencies as well, such as Expedia and Booking.com, because their people want inspiration about where to go. So now we're even going to people who are planning to travel in person and giving them some inspiration. Again, they all get trip kits too, just so they know this is going to be a hard trip or an easy trip. So, I would say organically it's grown, but it's really grown through the passion and love that people have of travel, and most importantly, connecting with real people there. The questions we are asked, the number one question, I get asked this all the time, the number one question is, what's it like to live there? What's it like to raise children there? What's the education like? What's the food like? What do you like to eat at Christmas time? What do you like to eat with your families? What's the best thing about your city? And oh my God, our guides love it and they go crazy. We always say the wow moment is what you see, and that is the wow moment. But for me, the wow moment is what you hear from real people telling you, we don't tell the questions in advance. These are live and they're from you. And so you're hearing it straight from them, so it's great. We were there when the Pope died. We were at the Vatican the next day. We do the last walk of Anne Frank. We're doing that this afternoon, as a matter of fact, with one of our tours. So you can actually walk down that way in addition to walk with the Beatles. We're there at the Christmas markets in Vienna. We're there where everybody wants to be. So there's no restriction anymore. And if you're living with dementia, there's no restrictions to that either.
That's fantastic. I love that. I'm also curious, you provided some feedback. Do you ever get people who are from those places or have lived there for a good chunk of their life, and then they can provide maybe additional insight, or it really touches, I think sometimes those specific memories, especially childhood memories, or when you elicit senses, do you get people going, "Oh, I'm so excited because I lived there," and so forth. And then I imagine your audience is international. You get people from all over.
Well, most of our audience currently is North America. It's US and
Mhm.
Canada, but we go
Great.
all over the world. But I'm almost getting a little chills when you're talking about
Yeah.
remembering, childhood things because we all know, I mean, I know for myself, the most vivid memories I have and working with my dad when he had dementia was the vivid memories he had of his childhood. I mean, I joke that I don't remember what I had for breakfast, which I don't, but I do remember these things back. And one of the things that we hear all the time, and this is why we were so excited to do this brand extension with WellMed Charitable Foundation of Wowzitude Memory Travels, is that we would hear all the time, that's where I met my husband under the clock, Cleary's clock on O'Connell Street, right? That I remember on our honeymoon going to Niagara Falls, which we go to Niagara Falls. I remember that. That's one of our most popular ones. I remember what it felt like. I remember the feeling of walking along the Seine. I remember the first time I saw the Eiffel Tower. I remember what it felt like to hear the chimes of Big Ben, because we go there too. So, I remember the excitement and hubbub of New York or the quiet of Central Park. So we're getting a lot of that, to your point, a lot of that. And for some people, it's fabulous. They've always wanted to go to the Vatican. Now we take them there. They've never been. For many others, it's revisiting places of just even small places, maybe places that you studied or places that, different things there. So it's the discovery and it's the rediscovery. And that is great and that's why we put in things like the recipes and everything, because we really want, all the senses to remember, as it were. And those memories, and we've learned this from WellMed Charitable Foundation from the training, those are the memories that are longest lasting. And so we do as much as we can to tap into that because it's wonderful and it just gives us such a great, it doesn't tell us what we don't remember, it tells us what we do remember. And it's in a very gentle way. So as Carol said, it's the combination of the wonderful training that these guides receive. Again, it's incredible. We could never have done this without Wellman Charitable Foundation, combined with what we know works at Wowzitude because we've done thousands of these tours. So there's really no place we can't go. And those memories, and that's what we like to hear from our audience too. Where would you like to go back to? Where would you like to see? Where would you like to experience again? And chances are we have a guide there already, or we'll find a guide.
That's great. And then I like that there's discussion prompts. So sort of afterwards they can keep talking about it or continue to live it. And maybe they talk with a friend or a caregiver. Do you ever find that other members that or other attendees that didn't know each other have there ever been connections afterwards? Or even I imagine when they're attending live, I'm sure it's also fulfilling to get, the chat and just even a little bit of that connection is really great. But have you ever found that it has actually brought some people together, at least virtually?
We have so many times, but I'll tell you the main way people use it is with the group that they're in. A lot of people may not have family members. I don't nearby. I have family in different states. So now you could either get on Zoom or you could both see it and say, so what did you think of that? What did you remember about that? And there's seeing the same things. Now you can see it live or you can see it as a recording, doesn't matter, in terms of what you're going to talk about. And we love discussions. So some of the discussions may take place as they say, IRL, in real life, when you're sitting in a group right together, and can be facilitated that way. But some can be done over Zoom, over a phone. What did you think of that? Could you believe when the cat japped on his head? What was you thinking there? I mean, did you think that the guy was going to scream? Boy, I was really worried that he wouldn't, dodge that car, then cross the street. Nobody's ever gotten hurt. It's all good. Um, but it's it really starts the dialogue, going, either with things that people are discovering or things that people want to talk about. We also see that it bridges generations, and that's so important. You can get your grandchildren involved with it. They love, who doesn't love to travel? It's like, oh, I know you went there with your student trip. Did that remind you of place? So all of a sudden, grandparents and grandchildren are talking about something. We don't want to talk about the illnesses. We don't want to talk about things that we're challenged with. We want to talk about something that's engaging to other people, especially other generations. I hear time and time again, all the time, how I got my grandson involved. I know that he was planning to go to France, and we talked about different places when we saw it. And we said, do you want to see that place? Because we go all over Paris, as you can imagine. And we have all stories attached. As Carol explained, the first part is an overview, and the second part is more about a deep dive about what it's known for. So this gets people, again, back into the world that we're living. We avoid things like politics. There's enough of that on TV. We avoid, it's a beautiful world, and we like to show the beauty of the world. And as I mentioned, it's joy, it's connection. And that's what we bring to the table, that and understanding. And the world changes a lot. I mean, some people may have been in places when it was Yugoslavia. Now it's Slovenia. So what did it look like then? Carol mentioned we show pictures from before. That may be your memory. Now you can see what it looks like now. So there's it's all of that. And all of that is a wonderful stimulus to our memories, quite frankly. Not challenging. We're not sitting there with dates and tests and oh my God, I don't like that either. But we are having all of it's what we feel, what we experience, the feelings we have. We really lean into that. And other people do as well. I will tell you some wow moments have included, I'll give you two examples that I think are wow. The first was a gentleman who was he was a patron in San Antonio at the library.
One of our centers.
Right? We love that. In one of the WellMed centers, it was so great. We found out from the branch librarian that his daughter lived in Vienna. He hadn't seen her since before COVID, so it was years. And we arranged for his daughter to be with our guide in Vienna. So even though we had, I don't know, 10,000
Oh
people on,
my
I know, right? We had, hi, Dad, it's good to see you. By the
Oh, yeah, we
way,
were all
surprise,
crying.
I'm
Ah.
coming home in the next month and I'm bringing the baby. Oh my God, you can imagine.
God.
So we have those wow moments
Okay.
whenever we can. So that's a wow moment. That's what we call a wow moment.
So
And the
great.
other wow moment had to do with this incredible woman. It was when we first started, way before Carol, well before, this was one of our very first ones. I think it was our third one that we ever did. It was for a singular community in Connecticut, and we were in Berlin. And our guide was talking about the difference in architecture between East Berlin and West Berlin and after the war and everything. And we were going down this way. And this is when we had very small, intimate ones when we first started, before we grew.
Hmm.
And we opened the mic up, and this now we have moderators asking, but then we had this, and the woman was asking all these great architectural questions. Now, I studied architecture, so I was very impressed by the questions. It was great. And the minute our tour was over, we got a call from the executive directors, and I'm like, oh, I thought the tour was good. What was going on? And he said, Susan, her name was Anne Marie, I'll never forget. She has dementia. And she hasn't, and this is, right, right when we were, COVID and we were getting out of COVID and all the rest of that. So it was, she had been really under lockdown for a long time. She hasn't spoken in months. We didn't know how far her dementia had progressed. But she was a professor of architecture at UConn. And
Wow.
this prompted something. They called the family. She was engaged. It was something she remembered that was important
Wow.
to her from before. We still have that on tape. It's something I refer to time and time again because it's our why. It's why we do this. And not that this happens all the time, but what a story that something in her memory prompted this, that she had this wonderful discussion about architecture, her passion. And that's what brought her again back into the world. So we have these wow moments that happen all the time. They're different. They're all different, but we make sure that we do wow moments in every single one of our live streams.
Well, I love that because obviously one wow moment is the Eiffel Tower, but then that personalization and just generally just you saying that, and I think this is a good, I guess, reminder for everyone who knows someone with dementia in their life is sometimes we don't engage that person with their passion, their what their career was that they learned, their, strong suit in the world because they could be retired, or you might not think that's something that's front of mind and you're just trying to get through the day to day. But that's so great to spark that interest across
And
the
now,
board.
years later, with the help of Wellmed Charitable Foundation and Carol, who's just the best partner you could ever have, seriously, the best. With that, and now with the training, that spark that happened years ago, before we ever thought about it for dementia, now made this community a reality. I feel like a startup again because even though we've been doing it for 6 years and we've built this large community for Wowzitude, which we do twice weekly, um, this new one that we've introduced, which is two parts once weekly, is so exciting to me because, again, it just COVID closed the world for so many people. That's why we started it. Dementia closes the world for people. And now we have the opportunity to open it up then for people. And now we have the opportunity to open it up. And by the way, our guides feel just as passionate as we do. They all opt into the training. They don't get paid extra for it. They have to opt into all of these hours of training and looking at the other examples, and it takes them a while. We spend a few hours with them scripting it and making sure that it's right for this audience and that it really strikes the right chord. Again, Wellman Charitable Foundation with their vast experience and the gerontologist there. And that's really the key. And they love it. Why? Someone in their family has dementia. They love it. It gives them the why. And it's incredible. We now have a few testimonials from some of our guides. We were at a conference, Carol and myself, not too long ago, the American Society on Aging in Atlanta. And our guides were just waxing poetic about why they put in all that extra time and effort for the dementia community, and it's so meaningful to them. So it's meaningful to all of us who are involved.
Oh, this is fantastic. And I'm wondering two things. Um, A, the cost, if there is cost to entry, and then B, if, I know this is a regular occurrence. Do they
Mhm.
have to join like, okay, I'm signing up for several events, or can they just pop in with one event, and then do you see what I mean? It's okay to do it like all
We
at
do, yeah.
once.
This is a monthly subscription, and we don't have people signing up for one or the other. One of the things that we found also is that, people will tend to flock to places that they've heard of or they know. Oh, London. And then they'll maybe skip a Ljubljana, and then the people are like, "Oh my God, that was the most beautiful thing I've ever seen. I'm so
Right.
glad that I was introduced to it." So we make it a monthly thing, but you can go to the ones you want or not go to the ones you want. We do it every week. It's every single Tuesday. We just did one this morning. So in your local time, because it's live. So
Good.
we do make it available that way. It is a subscription service. Now, for Wowzitude and where we're headed with Wowzitude Memory Travels is I mentioned we work with organizations. We're now working with over 900 organizations. So we don't really have outreach so much. We have some individuals, about 200 individual subscribers, but most of the thousands come from organizations. We would be very happy to work with organizations who then, through either grants or through their budgets or however they're doing their fundraising, make it available to people. Again, working with WellMed Charitable Foundation, they are a 501c3 charitable foundation. We are not. We are a for-profit, but it enables us to apply for some grants that will benefit this community. We love when there is sponsorships, of course, because there are sponsorships that are available that people do. We do that with Wowzitude as well, on the local or national level. But quite frankly, we try to make it as affordable as possible because it is based on, this is new, so we're just scaling up. But we will never say no. We will never say no because of finances. We want to make this available to as many people as possible. And if the prices are too dear for people, we'll work with them on that. But the best thing really is at an organizational level. And I'll ask Carol to chime in as well on that. So Carol, we've had a lot of discussions on that. What are your thoughts about that?
Well, I mean, I think you mentioned it. I think a lot of communities think community. You mentioned the libraries and the San Antonio library system. We let them watch a couple of tours, and then they were very anxious to do more of the tours. And so think of your local library, your local senior center. We show them in our senior centers, and talk to people. It's kind of the pull strategy to have somebody in your community help make it available for your community, and then like with our library, people that are subscribers to the library then can get the link, and if they have to watch it from home, they can watch it from home. But it's through the
Right.
library link.
So we make it as accessible as possible. Obviously, we pay our guides and we pay all these things, so there are
Absolutely.
costs involved. But we try to do this in a way. But yes, get
It's
organizations
affordable though.
involved.
Affordable for senior
Great.
centers and libraries.
Yes, yes,
Yeah.
we really try to make it that way. And the good news is it's because we have so many participating, we can make it so
Yeah.
affordable. So that is where we're going with this as well, same as the model for Wowzitude. We're making it available again as a subscription for memory care neighborhoods in senior living, for other ones there. So there's a wide market, and of course, for so many who are living at home. And that's also super important. We're not restricted in any way. We can show it to groups, we can show it to individuals, and we can infinitely scale. So it's a very personal feeling when you're experiencing it. But the good news is that we can scale, and the reason it's so good is because that's how we can keep it affordable.
Yeah.
So get the organizations involved,
I love it.
they're getting their funding in places, and we'd like to be part of that consideration.
But this was fantastic. Thank you, Carol and Susan. What a fantastic
Right.
resource. And thank you so much.